Commander Vextel stood on the bridge of his massive warship. The ship was called the Dominator, and it was bigger than most cities on Earth. He looked out at the stars through the giant windows. Today, another planet would bow down to the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrians had ruled the galaxy for 300 years. Their ships were black and covered with sharp points. They looked like giant metal beasts floating in space. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy entire worlds. When other races saw these ships coming, they usually gave up without a fight. Vextel's second-in-command walked up to him. "Sir, we are getting close to the planet. Should we send the message?" "Yes," Vextel said. "Send them the usual warning." The message was simple. It was the same message they had sent to thousands of worlds. "You are now part of the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender now, or we will destroy you." On the planet below, the leaders watched their screens with fear. They had heard stories about the Zephyrians. Whole civilizations had been wiped out for saying no. The planet's president looked at his advisors. "We have no choice," he said. "Send word that we surrender." Vextel smiled when he got the reply. Another easy victory. The Zephyrians never had to fight anymore. Their reputation was enough. Fear was their greatest weapon not far away, on a small blue planet called Earth. Things were very different. Humans had no idea that aliens existed. They were too busy fighting each other and trying to fix their own problems. Captain Lisa Murphy walked through the corridors of the spaceship Discovery. She was proud of her ship and her crew. The Discovery was Earth's first real starship. It could travel faster than light and carry people to other star systems. The ship was not built for war. It was built for exploration. Lisa's mission was to take 200 colonists to a new world. They would build the first human settlement outside of Earth's solar system. Lieutenant Kyle Harrison sat at his computer station. He was watching the sensors that looked out into deep space. "Captain," he called out, "the jump drive is ready. We can leave whenever you want." Lisa nodded. "Good. Are all the colonists ready?" "Yes, ma'am. They are all sleeping in the cold storage pods. They will wake up when we reach the new planet." Dr. Amanda Foster was checking her equipment one more time. She was the ship's science officer. Her job was to study any new life they might find. She had dreamed of this moment her whole life. Humans were finally going to the stars. "This is so exciting," she told her assistant. "We might be the first humans to meet alien life." Her assistant laughed. "Do you really think there are aliens out there?" "The universe is huge," Amanda said. "There has to be someone else out there." She had no idea how right she was. Engineer Carlos Rodriguez was in the engine room. He was making sure everything was working perfectly. The jump drive was new technology. It could fold space and let the ship travel incredible distances in seconds. "Everything looks good," he told his team. "This baby is ready to fly." The Discovery was not a large ship compared to the Zephyrian vessels. It was only about the size of a large office building, but to humans, it was amazing. It represented everything they had learned about science and space travel. Chief Medical Officer Rebecca Walsh was preparing the medical bay. She knew that space travel could be dangerous. People might get hurt or sick during the long journey. She wanted to be ready for anything. Security Chief Frank Johnson was checking the ship's defenses. The Discovery had some weapons, but they were mainly for clearing asteroids and mining. The ship was not designed to fight other ships. "I hope we don't need these," Frank said to his team. "But it's better to be safe." Communications Officer Jake Martinez was testing all the communication systems. If they met aliens, they would need to be able to talk to them. He had loaded the computer with every human language and mathematical formula he could think of. The crew was excited, but also nervous. They were about to do something that had never been done before. They were going to leave Earth's solar system and travel to another star. The target was a planet in the Kepler 442 system. Earth's telescopes had shown that it was a good world for humans to live on. It had water and air that humans could breathe. It seemed perfect. Lisa stood on the bridge and looked at her crew. "Are we ready?" "Yes, Captain," they all said together. "Then let's make history," Lisa said. "Take us to the stars." The Discovery's engines began to hum. A jump drive charged, up with incredible energy. In a few seconds, they would tear a hole in space itself and step through it. None of them knew that they were about to enter territory that belonged to the Zephyrian Empire. They had no idea that their arrival would change the galaxy forever. Discovery jumped into hyperspace. For the first time in human history, they left their home system behind. They were explorers, not warriors. They came in peace, looking for a new home. But the galaxy they were entering was ruled by fear and violence. The Zephyrians had made sure of that. For 300 years, no one had dared to challenge them. That was about to change. The Discovery emerged from hyperspace near the planet they wanted to colonize. The crew looked out at their new world with wonder. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. "Welcome to humanity's new home," Lisa said, but they were not alone. Deep space sensors throughout the galaxy had detected their arrival. The energy signature of their jump drive was unlike anything the Zephyrians had seen before. Commander Vexthel received the report on his bridge. "Unknown ship detected in Sector 7, his officer reported. "They are using an unfamiliar drive." System. Vexthel was curious. It had been years since anyone had surprised him. "Set course for Sector 7. Let's see what we have here." The Discovery's crew had no idea that death was coming for them. They were busy preparing to wake up the colonists and begin building their new home. The collision between two very different civilizations was about to begin. Lieutenant Kyle Harrison was the first to see them coming. He was watching his sensor screen when dozens of red dots appeared around their ship. His coffee cup fell from his hands and crashed to the floor. "Captain Murphy to the bridge, emergency," he called over the ship's communication system. His voice was shaking. Lisa Murphy ran to the bridge as fast as she could. When she saw the sensor display, she stopped breathing for a moment. Huge ships were appearing all around them. Each one was bigger than anything humans had ever built. "How many?" she asked. 15 ships, Captain." "No, wait. More are coming. 20 ships now." The alien vessels were black and covered with sharp metal points. They looked like they were designed to scare people. And they were working. The human crew stared at the view screen in shock. Dr. Amanda Foster ran her hands through her hair. She had dreamed of meeting aliens her whole life. But not like this. These ships looked like they were built for war. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Lisa asked. Communications Officer Jake Martinez was working frantically at his station. "I'm getting something, Captain. It's on multiple frequencies." "Wait, let me clean up the signal." The bridge speakers crackled with static, and a voice came through, cold and mechanical. The words were in a language none of them understood. "Can you translate it?" Lisa asked. Jake's fingers flew over his keyboard. "The computer is trying to find patterns. It's mathematical at first, then it becomes more complex. I think it's some kind of universal translator." Amanda leaned over his shoulder. "The math is basic. Prime numbers, then geometric shapes. They're trying to establish communication." Suddenly, the alien voice spoke again. This time, the words were in broken English. "Unknown vessel. You have entered restricted space. This system belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at each other. Lisa felt her heart pounding in her chest. "Did they just threaten to destroy us?" Frank Johnson asked. He was the security chief, but his weapons were no match for ships this size. It sounded like it, Lisa said. She tried to keep her voice calm, but inside she was terrified. The alien voice spoke again. You have 5 minutes to respond. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate destruction. Engineer Carlos Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. Captain, there? Ships are scanning us. I've never seen energy readings like this. Each one of those ships has enough firepower to turn our planet into dust. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about the 200 colonists sleeping in the cold storage pods. They had come here to build a new life, not to start a war. Jake, can we send a message back to them? Yes, Captain. The translation system is working both ways now. Lisa took a deep breath. She knew that what she said next could determine whether the entire crew lived or died. This is Captain Lesson Murphy of the Earthship Discovery. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We had no knowledge of your empire or your claim to this. System, we come in peace and wish to establish peaceful contact. She waited. The seconds felt like hours. On the Zephyrian flagship, Commander Vexthil stared at his communication officer. Did they just say they want to talk? Yes, sir. They claim to be from a planet called Earth. They say they are explorers. Vexthil had been dealing with conquered races for decades. Usually they begged for mercy or tried to bargain for their lives. But these humans seemed different. They were curious, not afraid. Earth, he said slowly. I've never heard of this. Planet, check our star charts. His science officer worked quickly. There is no record of a planet called Earth in our database, sir. These beings are completely unknown to us. Vexthil was puzzled. For 300 years, the Zephyrian Empire had catalogued every inhabited world in the galaxy. How could an entire species have escaped their notice? Sir, his weapons officer said, their ship is very primitive. It's barely capable of interstellar travel. We could destroy it with a single shot. I can see that, Vexthil said. But something doesn't feel right about this. Back on the Discovery, the crew waited for a response. Rebecca Walsh came up from the medical bay. Captain, what's happening? The whole ship is talking about alien ships. We've made contact, Lisa said, and they're not happy to see us. The alien voice came through the speakers again. Humans from Earth. Your species is unknown to us. This does not change the fact that you have violated Imperial space. However, we are curious about your origin. You will be taken to the nearest Imperial base for questioning. Amanda looked at Lisa. That doesn't sound good. No, it doesn't, Lisa agreed. The alien voice continued. Prepare to be escorted. Any attempt to flee or resist will result in your destruction. Do you understand? Lisa knew she had to make a choice. She could surrender and hope for the best, or she could try to run. But where could they go? The alien ships surrounded them completely. Jake, send this message, she said. We understand your position. However, we are not subjects of your empire. We are citizens of Earth, and we have the right to travel freely through space. We propose a meeting to discuss this situation peacefully. The bridge crew looked at her in shock. Danny Chun, a navigation officer, whispered, Captain, are you sure about this? Lisa nodded. We can't just give up without trying to negotiate. On the Zephyrian flagship, Vexthul's officers were confused. Sir, they're refusing to surrender. They want to negotiate. Negotiate? Vexthul said. No one negotiates with the Zephyrian Empire. We give orders, and others obey. What should we do, sir? Vexthul thought for a moment. These humans were either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. Send a destroyer to escort them. If they try anything, destroy them immediately. The largest of the alien ships began moving toward the Discovery. It was at least 50 times bigger than the human ship. "Captain," Kyle said, "one of their ships is approaching. It's huge." Lisa watched the alien vessel get closer. She could see weapon ports along its hull. Each weapon was probably more powerful than anything on Earth. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We are in a difficult situation. We have encountered an alien empire that claims to own this part of space. I want everyone to remain calm and follow orders. We are going to try to resolve this peacefully." Down in engineering, Carlos looked at his team. Peaceful resolution with ships that size? We better hope they're in a good mood. Tony Williams, the weapons specialist, was checking his equipment. "Captain, our mining lasers won't even scratch their hull. If this turns into a fight, we're in serious trouble." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Lisa said. The alien destroyer was now close enough to see clearly. It was black and menacing, with weapons pointed at the Discovery. The alien voice came through the speakers one more time. "Human vessel, you will follow us to the Imperial base. Any deviation from course will be considered an act of war." Lisa looked at her crew. They were scared, but they trusted her. She had to make the right decision. "Jake, send this message. We will follow your ship, but under protest. We maintain that we have done nothing wrong." "Message sent, Captain." The alien destroyer began to move, and the Discovery followed. But Lisa was already thinking about what would happen when they reached the Imperial base. She had a feeling that surrender might not be enough to save her crew. The other alien ships formed an escort around them. There was no escape. The Discovery flew deeper into alien territory, carrying Earth's first ambassadors to the stars into an uncertain fate. Commander Vex Thole sat in his command chair, thinking about the strange humans. For 3 days, the Discovery had followed his destroyer toward the Imperial base. The humans had not tried to escape or fight back, but something about them still bothered him. "Sir," his communications officer said, "High Command wants a report." Vex Thole activated his private channel. The face of Admiral Kethron appeared on his screen. The Admiral was old and scarred from many battles. "Report, Commander," the Admiral said. "We have captured a ship from an unknown species called humans. They claim to be from a planet outside our territory." "Impossible," the Admiral said. "We have mapped every inhabited world in the galaxy." "That's what I thought too, sir. But these beings are different. They refused our initial surrender demand. They wanted to negotiate." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "Negotiate? With the Zephyrian Empire?" "Yes, sir. They seem to have no fear of us." "Then they are either very brave or very stupid. I want you to test them, Commander. See what they're really made of." "Test them how, sir?" "Use your judgment. But remember, no unknown species can be allowed to challenge our authority. If they show any sign of being a threat, destroy them." The transmission ended. Vex Thole looked out at the human ship following his destroyer. He made his decision. "Helm, take us to the asteroid field in Sector 12. One want to see how these humans react under pressure." On the Discovery, Lieutenant Kyle Harrison noticed the course change immediately. "Captain, they're changing direction. We're heading toward an asteroid field." Lisa Murphy came to the bridge. "Why would they take us there?" "Maybe it's a shortcut," suggested Danny Chun. Dr. Amanda Foster was studying the alien ship's energy readings. "I don't think so. Look at these patterns. Their weapons are charging up." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. The crew moved quickly, even though they all knew their weapons were useless against the alien ship. Frank Johnson armed the mining lasers, while Tony Williams prepared the construction charges they used for asteroid mining. "Captain," Jake Martinez called out, "we're receiving a new message." The alien voice came through the speakers. but this time it sounded different. More aggressive. Human vessel, we have decided to test your capabilities. You will navigate through this asteroid field while under fire. If you survive, we will continue to the base. If not, your story ends here. The bridge crew stared at each, other in shock. They want to hunt us? Rebecca Walsh asked. She had come up from the medical bay when the alert sounded. Looks like it, Lisa said grimly. The alien destroyer moved to a position above the asteroid field. Its weapons began to glow with deadly energy. Captain, Carlos Rodriguez's voice came from engineering. I'm reading massive power buildups in their weapon systems. When they fire, it's going to be with enough force to vaporize a small moon. Lisa looked at her navigation officer. Danny, plot us a course through those asteroids. Stay close to the big ones. Are we really going to run? Frank asked. We're going to survive, Lisa said. That's our job right now. The Discovery entered the asteroid field just as the alien destroyer fired its first shot. A beam of energy lit up space and turned a nearby asteroid into glowing dust. Holy cow, Kyle breathed. That thing could have taken out our entire ship. Keep us moving, Danny, Lisa ordered. Use the asteroids for cover. The human ship was much smaller than the alien destroyer, and that gave it an advantage. It could slip between asteroids that the larger ship couldn't follow. But the destroyer didn't need to follow. It just needed to shoot. Another energy beam flashed past the Discovery, missing by only a few hundred meters. The heat from the near miss made the ship's hull groan. This is insane, Tony said. They're treating us like targets in a shooting gallery. Then let's make it hard for them, Lisa said. She had an idea. Carlos, can you vent plasma from our engines? Sure, but why? I want to create a smokescreen. Make it harder for them to target us. On it, Captain. The Discovery began leaving a trail of glowing plasma as it weaved between the asteroids. The alien gunners found it much harder to get a clear shot. On the destroyer's bridge, the weapons officer was getting frustrated. Sir, the human ship is using the asteroids and their engine exhaust to block our targeting sensors. Commander Vex Thill was impressed despite himself. Clever. They're making the most of what they have. Should we move closer, sir? No. Let's see what else they can do. The Discovery continued its deadly dance through the asteroid field. Lisa was beginning to understand the alien captain's strategy. He wasn't trying to kill them immediately. He wanted to see how they would fight. Captain, Amanda called out, I've been studying their ship's design. Those spikes and sharp edges aren't just for show. They're actually structural weaknesses. What do you mean? The ship is designed to look scary, but the engineering is flawed. All those pointed sections create stress points in the hull. Lisa thought about this. Tony, do we have anything that could hit those weak spots? Our mining charges might work, but we'd have to get really close. How close? Close enough to almost touch their hull. Lisa made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. Do it. Load the mining charges into our construction drones. Captain, Frank said, that's basically a suicide mission for whoever pilots those drones. The drones can be controlled remotely, Tony said, but they'll have to get through the destroyer's defensive weapons. We're already at a suicide mission, Lisa pointed out. At least this way we fight back. The crew worked quickly to prepare their improvised weapons. The construction drones were small robots designed to help build mining stations. Now they were being turned into missiles. Drones ready, Captain, Tony reported. Launch them. 3. Small drones shot out from the Discovery, carrying mining charges toward the alien destroyer. The drones were tiny compared to the massive warship, and at first, the alien crew didn't even notice them. Commander Vexthal was watching the human ship dodge another energy blast when his tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we have 3 small objects approaching. They appear to be some kind of robotic probes. Probes? Vexthal looked at his screen. They're heading straight for us. Destroy them. The destroyer's point defense weapons opened fire, but the drones were small and fast. 2 of them were hit and exploded harmlessly in space. But the third one got through. Tony Williams guided the surviving drone with expert skill, steering it toward one of the weak points Amanda had identified. The drone attached itself to the destroyer's hull just as the mining charge exploded. Explosion wasn't big enough to destroy the massive alien ship, but it did something unexpected. It cracked the hull around one of the sharp decorative spikes. On the destroyer's bridge, alarms began sounding. Sir, we have hull damage in section 7. The structural integrity of the forward spike array is compromised. Vexthal stared at his damage reports in disbelief. A mining drone did this? Yes, sir. It appears the humans targeted one of our design weaknesses. For the first time in his career, Commander Vexthal felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Respect for an enemy. Cease fire, he ordered. Sir? I said cease fire. Open a channel to the human ship. On the Discovery, the crew watched in amazement as the alien destroyer stopped shooting. We're getting a message, Captain, Jake reported. The alien voice came through the speakers, but this time it sounded different, less arrogant. Human vessel, you have passed our test. You fight with honor and intelligence. We will escort you to the base as planned. Lisa couldn't believe it. We survived. More than that, Amanda said, looking at her sensor readings. I think we impressed them. Rebecca was treating several crew members who had been injured when the ship shook from near misses. Well, that was terrifying. But we're alive, Carlos, said over the communication system. And we proved that humans don't give up without a fight. Lisa looked out at the alien destroyer. She realized that this encounter had changed everything. The aliens now knew that humans were not like other species they had conquered. Set course for their base, she ordered. But keep our weapons ready. Something tells me this is just the beginning. The Discovery followed the alien destroyer out of the asteroid field. Behind them, the wreckage of destroyed asteroids glowed in the darkness of space. The first battle between humans and the Zephyrian Empire was over, but the war was just beginning. The Zephyrian base was massive. It floated in space like a metal city, with docking bays that could hold ships the size of mountains. Captain Lisa Murphy watched through the view screen as they approached, feeling very small. How many ships do you count? She asked Kyle Harrison. At least 100, Captain. Maybe more. Some of them are bigger than our entire colony back on Earth. The Discovery was guided to a small docking bay. As soon as they landed, the bay doors sealed shut. Lisa knew they were trapped. Captain, Jake Martinez said, we're getting another message. The familiar alien voice came through the speakers. Human vessel, you will remain in your ship while we prepare quarters for your crew. Any attempt to leave will be considered hostile. Lisa gathered her senior officers in the conference room. The mood was grim. So what's our situation? She asked Frank. Johnson spoke first. We're completely surrounded. Their base has enough firepower to destroy Earth 10 times over. Our weapons are useless here, Tony Williams added. Even if we wanted to fight, we couldn't make a dent in this place. Dr. Amanda Foster had been studying the alien technology since they arrived. I've been analyzing their communication signals. They're sending reports about us to something called High Command. What kind of reports? Lisa asked. From what I can translate, they're calling us an unknown threat. They think we might be scouts for a larger human fleet. Rebecca Walsh laughed bitterly. If they only knew. We're the only human ship that can travel this far from Earth. Maybe that's good, Lisa said. Let them think we're more dangerous than we are. Engineer Carlos Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system. Captain, I've been monitoring. Their power systems. This base is running on some kind of energy source I've never seen before. But I noticed something interesting. What's that? Their security systems are incredibly complex, but they're not designed to deal with primitive technology like ours. It's like they've forgotten how to defend against simple attacks. Lisa thought, "About this, what do you mean?" "Well, their shields can stop advanced energy weapons, but I bet they can't stop something as basic as a piece of metal moving really fast." Tony Williams grinned. "Like our construction charges." "Exactly, or even simpler. They probably never considered that someone might use garbage as a weapon." Amanda looked up from her datapad. "Carlos might be right. I've been studying their ship designs. Everything is built to intimidate and overwhelm. But there's no flexibility in their thinking. They've been winning for so long, they've forgotten how to deal with creativity." Lisa realized, before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the alien base. Red lights flashed outside their docking bay windows. Jake's communication board lit up with alien chatter. "Captain, something big is happening. I'm picking up hundreds of ships moving toward the base." "Zephyrian ships?" "No, these are different. Smaller ships, all different designs. It looks like a mixed fleet." Through the docking bay windows, they could see explosions in the distance. The space around the base was filling with ships engaged in battle. Commander Vextil's voice came through their speakers, but this time he sounded urgent. "Human vessel, this base is under attack by rebel forces. You will remain in your docking bay for your own safety." Lisa made a quick decision. "Like hell we will. This might be our only chance to get out of here." "Captain," Frank said, "we can't fight our way through a space battle." "We don't have to fight. We just have to be smart." Lisa activated the ships. "Communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We're going to try to escape during this battle. I know it sounds crazy, but it might be our only shot at getting home." The Discovery's engines powered up. Lisa looked at her crew. "Danny, plot a course through the battle zone. Stay close to the fighting. Use the other ships as cover." "You sure about this, Captain?" "No, but we're doing it anyway." The docking bay doors were locked, but Tony Williams had an idea. "Captain, I can overload our mining lasers and cut through those doors. It'll burn out our weapons, but we only need them to work once." "Do it." The Discovery's mining lasers fired at maximum power, cutting through the alien metal like it was paper. The docking bay doors exploded outward, and the human ship flew into the middle of the space battle dot. What they saw was incredible. Dozens of different alien species were fighting against the Zephyrian fleet. Ships of all shapes and sizes were firing at the massive alien base. "Jake, can you contact the rebel fleet?" "I'm trying, Captain. There are so many different communication frequencies." A small rebel ship flew past them, firing at a Zephyrian destroyer. The rebel ship was damaged and venting atmosphere. "There," Lisa said. "That ship needs help. Danny, take us alongside them." "Captain, what are you thinking?" "We're going to help them, and maybe they'll help us." The Discovery moved toward the damaged rebel ship. Tony Williams used their construction drones to patch the holes in the rebel ship's hull. A new voice came through their communication system. This one was different from the Zephyrians. It sounded grateful. "Unknown ship, this is Captain Zora of the rebel vessel Freedom's Edge. Thank you for your assistance. This is Captain Lisa Murphy of the Earthship Discovery. We're trying to escape from the Zephyrian base." "Earth? I've never heard of that." "World. But any enemy of the Zephyrians is a friend of ours." Lisa looked at Amanda, who was monitoring the battle. "What's the situation out there?" "It's chaos, Captain. But I think the rebels are losing. The Zephyrian ships are just too powerful." Lisa had another crazy idea. "Jake, open a channel to all." "The rebel ships. Channel open, Captain." Attention Rebel Fleet, this is the human ship Discovery. We've studied Zephyrian ship design, and we know their weak points. If you're willing to coordinate with us, we might be able to help. There was a pause, then Captain Zora's voice came back. Human ship, we're listening. Amanda quickly uploaded her analysis of Zephyrian ship weaknesses to the Rebel fleet. Target: the decorative spikes on their hulls. Those are structural weak points. The effect was immediate. Rebel ships began focusing their fire on the weak spots Amanda had identified. Several Zephyrian vessels suffered critical damage, but the biggest surprise was yet to come. Commander Vexthu's destroyer was pursuing them through the battle zone. The massive ship was firing everything it had at the Discovery. He's really mad at us, Kyle observed. Can't blame him, Lisa said. We did blow a hole in his ship. The destroyer was gaining on them. Its weapons were much more powerful than anything the rebels had. Captain, Carlos called from engineering, I have an idea, but it's really dangerous. At this point, dangerous is all we have left. What's your plan? I can overload our jump drive. Instead of using it to travel, I can make it explode. The energy release would be like a bomb going off. That would destroy us too, Rebecca pointed out. Not if we eject the drive core first. We fire it at the destroyer like a missile, then detonate it when it gets close. Lisa thought for about 2 seconds. Do it. Carlos worked frantically in the engine room, disconnecting the jump drive from the ship's systems. It was incredibly dangerous work. One mistake and the drive would explode while still attached to the Discovery. Drive core ready for ejection, Captain. Fire it. The jump drive core shot out of the Discovery like a bullet, heading straight for Vexthu's destroyer. The alien commander saw it coming, but didn't understand what it was. Some kind of missile. His weapons officer reported. It's too small to cause significant damage. Vexthul was about to order his ship to ignore the projectile when Carlos detonated the jump drive core. The explosion lit up space like a small star. The destroyer shields overloaded instantly. The ship was thrown spinning through space, its engines dead, its weapons offline. The rebel fleet cheered as they watched the mighty Zephyrian destroyer drift helplessly in space. Impossible, Vexthul whispered. A primitive ship just defeated. U.S. Lisa opened a channel to the destroyer. Commander Vexthul, this is Captain Murphy. Your ship is disabled. Surrender, and we'll make sure you and your crew are treated well. There was a long pause. Then Vexthul's voice came through, filled with something that sounded like respect. Captain Murphy, you have accomplished something I would have thought impossible. You have defeated a Zephyrian destroyer with mining equipment and garbage. We did what we had to do to survive. I understand that now. I formally surrender my ship to you. The battle was turning. With their command ship disabled, the other Zephyrian vessels began to retreat. The rebel fleet had won its first major victory in decades. Captain Zora's voice came through the communication system. Captain Murphy, you and your crew have given us something we thought we had lost forever. Hope. Lisa looked around at her crew. They were exhausted, scared, and their ship was barely holding together. But they were alive, and they had accomplished something amazing. What happens now? Amanda asked. Now we go home, Lisa said. But I don't think the galaxy will ever be the same. She was right. Word of the human victory was already spreading through the rebel network. For the first time in 300 years, someone had proven that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. The age of human involvement in galactic affairs had begun with a bang. 3 weeks had passed since the battle at the Zephyrian base. The Discovery was docked at a rebel space station called Haven. The station was hidden inside a nebula where Zephyrian sensors couldn't find it. Captain Lisa Murphy stood in the station's meeting room, surrounded by alien faces. Representatives from dozens of different species had come to meet the humans who had defeated a Zephyrian destroyer. "Captain Murphy," said Captain Zora, who had become their main contact with the rebels. "We have received reports from across the galaxy. Your victory has inspired uprisings on over 50 worlds." Dr. Amanda Foster was studying the rebel intelligence reports. According to these data, some species have been slaves to the Zephyrians for over 200 years. They never thought freedom was possible. A tall alien with blue skin stepped forward. "I am Commander Thex of the Andorian Resistance. My people have been fighting the Zephyrians for decades. But we always lost because we thought their ships were invincible. You proved that wrong." Lisa felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "We never intended to start a revolution. We were just trying to survive." "Sometimes," said another alien, "that's all it takes. One act of defiance can change everything." Communications Officer Jake Martinez had been working with the rebel technicians to establish contact with Earth. "Captain, I think I've got a signal through to Earth. It's weak, but we can send a message." Lisa nodded. "Record this message for transmission to Earth Defense Command." She stood in front of the camera, knowing that what she said next would change human history forever. "This is Captain Lisa Murphy of the Discovery. We have made contact with alien civilizations. The galaxy is controlled by an empire called the Zephyrians, but we have encountered a rebellion against their rule. Humanity is no longer alone in the universe, and we may soon find ourselves involved in a galactic war." She paused, thinking about her next words carefully. "I recommend that Earth begin preparing its defenses immediately. The Zephyrians will eventually learn about our homeworld, and they will come for us. But I also recommend that we reach out to the Rebel Alliance. These beings are fighting for the same freedoms we cherish." The message was transmitted across the vast distance to Earth. It would take weeks to reach home, but Lisa knew it would cause chaos when it arrived. Meanwhile, on the Zephyrian capital world, the High Command was in emergency session. Admiral Kethron stood before a council of the Empire's most powerful leaders. "Report," commanded Supreme Leader Vorthek, a massive alien covered in natural armor. "The rebels have won their first major victory in decades," Admiral Kethron said. "A destroyer was defeated by an unknown species, calling themselves humans." "One destroyer?" Another council member scoffed. "That's hardly significant." "With respect, sir, it's very significant. The rebels are using this victory as a symbol. Worlds that have been peaceful for centuries are now in open revolt." Supreme Leader Vorthak's eyes glowed with anger. "Then we will crush them all. Send the Third Fleet to destroy every rebel base." "Sir, our intelligence suggests the humans have technology we don't understand. Their ship was primitive, but they used tactics we've never encountered." "You're afraid of primitives?" Admiral Kethron chose his words carefully. "I'm concerned about the unknown, sir. We should learn more about these humans before we act." "Find their homeworld," Vorthak commanded. "When we destroy their planet, the rebellion will lose its symbol." Back at Haven Station, the rebels were planning their next move. Lisa found herself in the strange position of being a military advisor, even though she was an explorer, not a soldier. "The Zephyrians will retaliate," warned Captain Zora. "They always do. But for the first time, we have a chance to hit back." Engineer Carlos Rodriguez had been working with rebel technicians to improve their ships. "I've been sharing our technology with them. Simple things like how to make better explosives from basic materials. And I've been teaching them about human tactics," added Security Chief Frank Johnson. "The Zephyrians expect their enemies to fight like them. They don't know how to deal with unconventional warfare." Dr. Amanda Foster had made an important discovery. "I've been studying the Rebel Intelligence Network. There are dozens of species in this alliance, and each one has unique abilities. If they coordinate properly, they could be very effective. Lisa realized that humans had something special to offer the rebellion. Not just their technology, but their way of thinking. "We need to get back to Earth," she told her crew. "Our people need to know what's coming. And this rebellion needs allies who can think outside the box." Tony Williams had been quiet during most of the planning sessions, but now he spoke up. "Captain, what if we don't go back to Earth right away?" "What do you mean?" "What if we help the rebels plan a major operation first? Something that would really hurt the Zephyrians." Lisa looked around the room at her crew. They were exhausted and scared, but there was something else in their eyes. Determination. "What kind of operation?" Captain Zora activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. "There's a major Zephyrian supply depot in the Rigel system. It supports their fleets in this entire sector. If we could destroy it, it would cripple their operations for months," Amanda finished. "But it's heavily defended," Zora continued. 3 battleships and a space fortress. We've never had enough firepower to attack it." Frank Johnson studied the tactical display. "What if we don't try to overpower them? What if we outsmart them instead?" Lisa felt a familiar feeling in her stomach. It was the same feeling she'd had before they escaped from the Zephyrian base. "Tell me your idea." "The supply depot, probably. Has automated systems, right? Computers that control everything?" "Yes," Zora confirmed. "Why?" Jake Martinez grinned. "Because humans are really good at hacking computer systems. Over the next few days, they developed a plan that was so crazy, it just might work. The rebels would create a distraction by attacking the battleships. Meanwhile, a small team would sneak into the supply depot and plant virus programs in the computer systems. The beauty of it," Jake explained, "is that the virus will spread through their entire network. Every Zephyrian ship that connects to the depot will get infected." Dr. Rebecca Walsh had concerns. "This is incredibly dangerous. If we're caught, the Zephyrians will torture us for information about Earth." "They're going to find Earth anyway," Lisa pointed out. "At least this way, we might slow them down." The mission launched 3 days later. The Discovery, disguised as a rebel supply ship, approached the Rigel depot while the main rebel fleet attacked the battleships. The plan worked perfectly at first. While the Zephyrian defenders were busy fighting the rebels, Lisa's team infiltrated the depot. Jake and Carlos worked together to plant virus programs throughout the computer network, but then something went wrong. A Zephyrian patrol discovered them in the depot's control center. "Human spies," the alien officer snarled. "Kill them." What happened next became legend among the rebels. Instead of surrendering, the human crew fought back with everything they had. Tony Williams used maintenance tools as weapons. Rebecca Walsh threw medical supplies that exploded on contact. Even Amanda Foster, who had never been in combat before, used her scientific equipment to create smoke bombs. The fight was brief but vicious. When it was over, the Zephyrian patrol was defeated, and the virus had been successfully planted. "Mission accomplished," Lisa said, breathing heavily. "Let's get out of here." The Discovery escaped just as the virus began to take effect. Throughout the depot, computer systems started failing. Ships couldn't launch. Weapons couldn't fire. Within hours, the entire facility was crippled, but the virus didn't stop there. As Jake had predicted, it spread to every ship that tried to connect to the depot's network. Within days, dozens of Zephyrian vessels were floating helplessly in space. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The humans had struck again, and this time they had crippled an entire Zephyrian fleet. On Earth, Admiral Patricia Cole received Captain Murphy's message and immediately called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "we are no longer alone in the universe, and we're about to be at war. The governments of Earth went into crisis mode. Every available resource was directed toward building defenses and preparing for an alien invasion. Meanwhile, the Discovery finally headed home. But they weren't returning as simple explorers anymore. They were coming back as Earth's first ambassadors to a galaxy at war. "What do you think will happen when we get home?" Amanda asked as they watched Earth grow larger on the view screen. "Everything will change," Lisa said. "But maybe that's not a bad thing. Humans have always been explorers. Now we're going to explore the stars together with friends." Kyle Harrison smiled as he looked at his sensor readings. "Captain, we're being escorted." Lisa looked at the view screen and saw dozens of ships surrounding them. But these weren't Zephyrian vessels. They were rebel ships come to escort Earth's heroes home. The Discovery had started its journey as a simple colony ship. It was returning as the flagship of a galactic alliance. Behind them, across the galaxy, the Zephyrian Empire was learning a hard lesson. For 300 years, they had ruled through fear and overwhelming force. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity. Humans didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with ideas. They turned garbage